And there was the one fellow that said, well, you can't say it's just that you own it because, you know, his corporation owns it, but he was the president of his corporation or LLC. But what's part of it too to say, it's totally different when you have your own skid steer at your own house versus saying, hey, I've bought a piece of property in Daniel and I can now have every person who wants, I probably get asked at least once a month of asking people to say, hey, can I bring my, and fill in the blank over to your house?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, because I don't own that.
And that's what we want to say is no, because the code in our neighborhood and our homes don't want that. So we go back to the code and talking about way of life and the
But how
nature of the
many ski
neighborhood.
boats could I park on my property
Well, then again,
without the?
every one of these could be abused from the spirit, and the problem is taking us so long, we've been trying to finesse our way through this rather than, you know, most of these codes are just straight cut and dry, and they don't spend the time on that we have.
So my question is there anything that was in the latest revision of the code that says that the stuff parked on your piece of property, you need to show a legal, if questioned, you need to show a legal path of ownership, whether you're a part of that corporation, LLC, whatever, or.
Is there equipment or anything on your property?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you
I've
know
never
what,
heard
you
of
told me
anything.
to only have 3, they're not gonna put somebody
No,
else's
I'm
stuff
talking of
there.
anything. I'm talking about to where you come in to say, okay, well, I think I mentioned this before, I mean, God rest his soul, but I had a full-blooded uncle that lived on Mill Road, and I'll tell you what, he had lots of stuff.
He filled it
He
with
filled it. It's like,
collectors.
okay, well, they asked if they could move that stuff out to my place. I'm like, no, because I don't own it.
And I have not heard, have you ever heard of that or not, as far as ownership on? I mean, if you're letting people come and bring trailers in, like
Can you,
Ned,
if I'm a
friends, neighbors, that what
FedEx
you're talking
driver, if
about?
I'm a FedEx driver, can I park a FedEx branded truck in my front yard?
Well,
You're taking it home. That's your
That's what you're doing at
transportation.
home.
it's commercial.
Well,
And is that different than saying, okay, Adam Knight parks a, Chevy 3500 that says Adam Knight Plumbing on the side? Well, he can show path to ownership on one of them. The other one, so you say, okay, well, can you park Chevron's dual, tanker on the crude oil hauler that you're just an employee for? Can you park that on the, on your piece of property? Is that different than an owner-operator that's trying to scratch out a living with a dump truck?
I would say it is,
To
but
me, I think it's totally different.
Yeah.
I think it's totally different than saying, hey, this guy worked up, he's bought a truck, he's trying to park it behind his house in Daniel, and I think that's
Especially when
different.
there's no available commercial land in Daniel. Mark's done that twice trying to get this going. He should be your model citizen. There ain't nobody that's tried harder than him to be in compliance here.
probably someone's equal that didn't quite make it here, I agree.
No, there's nobody that's tried harder. He spent his own hard-earned money on it
Yes.
and been denied, or never got an answer. That's how I feel. I think he really went.
Did you get an answer or not, as far as from us that you needed, or?
We
Depends
just,
on where you're looking, but I feel like I've been told that I could stay where I'm at with my business to a certain extent, and then
and then the
every
rules
time it comes
changed.
right down to it, I feel like I'm getting run out of town on rails at my house, on the property that I have there.
Even though we met with the mayor
A few meetings
before
I've
buying
been
the
to, that's the
property.
way I feel about your situation too.
So, that's
I've
a
been
nice,
given partial, yeah, it's okay, until somebody
Until somebody
complains.
well,
And then all of a sudden,
And then how valid does that complaint have to be? Because when you write it here, that's when that complaint becomes valid, if you shut it down in here. And as you read your purpose here, it is to provide an opportunity for homeowners to operate a small business within their residence.
small would be the key word, but you're right.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
what we've been told all along, even with trucking, don't worry, we're gonna find a place for you, but as we get in here, then suddenly there's no place for us. When you get to the nitty gritty here, there's no place for us.
Well, I don't know that we've said that we're gonna have a trucking company in a residential zone. I know that the barn before you bought it was signed and said it will never be used as a shop, it was supposed to be an ag barn. So that was up with you guys, but so that particular property did certainly morph from what it was supposed to be versus what it was, and you know, you're moving on. So there's no blame, but there was signatures saying that this would be used for this, and it
But we
wasn't
come
used for
before the
that.
council and said, we have 3 trucks, can we have a business license? Yeah, here it is, and then suddenly, oh no, you're an owner, just 1 truck, owner operator. The rules changed.
There was
From what
3
we
of
were
them.
told originally,
Yeah.
and we spent the money which we wanted to spend on the house, because we were told it was okay for that use, and then suddenly it's dragged out and it's not okay for that use. So I get, what I'm saying is there's not consistency here. And we do feel like we got cheated. Feel like we were told yes, 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 oh, nope. And so that's why I'm here trying to go, well, this is what the city told us at first, that 3 was great, but now we're gonna write in only the self-operator. So what does that do to us?
Well, and you've been in all the meetings, we've talked about how employees and stuff and.
We have been to all the
So, yep, and all the family members versus public employees, we tried to discuss all that. I think, once again, through what's already been somewhat approved to the council before it goes back to planning, some of those are already addressed on how you're affecting, you may or may not be affecting your neighbors and all these other things that you're discussing. Certainly, once again, you know, we're going to sit and chew on this again and not pass it tonight if we continue to say,
Well,
it is not a perfect
I'd
document by
rather
any means. I don't know if it's
That's
forcing
why I'm not
anything out. I know we have 3, I mean, we want to keep it residential. That's what I've heard from most folks, is we want to keep that same, the home atmosphere. So you're saying that the Daniels was always like that. I remember when Lynn Adams in the meeting said, that place is a shithole, excuse my language, and that's, you know, you guys bought your ground down there, too bad for you. So, you know, everyone said that back then. Well, it's not that way anymore. Everyone in this room's taking pride in their yards, and now it's actually, as of 2 days ago, a guy came in and says, oh, I tried so hard to get in Daniel, and now they actually want to get in here. It's not because they want to bring equipment in.
And a lot of that's business owners right here.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying, that they are.
So we
except
don't wanna shut them out.
We don't, but what,
We do wanna control it from becoming
A mess, no doubt.
the shithole that you described. And I think.
and I don't think anybody
you're
here
correct.
wants that, and I didn't imply that anybody here wants it. Shelley, I know you had a comment a minute ago, and I didn't.
Oh, you're fine. I have been pushing, you know, I have been very advocate for these business owners because I just know what's coming down the line. And once you get done with the business owners. But anyways, but I don't think it's fair that, you know, they may have gotten permission from another mayor, but things change. Mayors change. Councils change. You cannot, that whatever a mayor does, is not holding the new mayor hostage. Things that, if you don't like the way it is, then you get up there, you get on the board, you do whatever. That's the only way. They can go through this and the next people can come in and do it all over again. So you guys saying that, oh, you had permission from the mayor. Well, you probably did. But obviously now they've been getting complaints where they wasn't before. So I'm saying, you know, these guys are up there doing a great job and they're trying to do what they can to keep it a rural setting. I'm with you. I don't want all these rich hoity-toities to come in and tell me what I can do with my property. You know, if they want to do that, if they want those communities that are CC&Rs and you can't go down the road without being questioned,
And I think there's a place
then
for
have
this.
at it.
I do think
But
there's a place
Daniel's
for this.
wasn't that.
I don't want Daniel to be that.
You know, exactly. And I don't think a lot of people do want that. But I'm just saying, just what, you know, these guys are doing what they can, and it can change. You're saying, we don't want this to change. It can change again. You
Well,
know,
that's why we're here. We don't
you
want
know,
this to
yeah,
change.
and they're doing,
Exactly.
you know, and so that's, like I said, the mayor, before you may have said, you have this, but then people started complaining about this and they had to enforce it. So I think they're doing what they need to
You
do.
right here what there can and can't be, and then somebody, I mean, how many people have to complain? Does it just have to be one guy that's got a grudge? Does it have to be
Question, are you talking about your house or are you talking about where?
the house?
We're talking about our house only. In this
This is home
business,
business.
home business.
This is home
It
business.
has nothing to do with our property on Highway 40.
I'm
We're
gonna,
not talking
Can
about
I,
that
can I ask you guys a question? Are you guys
No.
all driving truck? I mean, do you need 3
My
trucks?
son drives,
Right,
my husband drives.
okay.
Yeah.
We have 1 employee right now.
and you mentioned industrial ground or commercial ground, and, you know, from the beginning, we have designated the corridors, whether it's 189 down that way or whether it's 40. So it is in our plan, and we've certainly discussed it and having it, but we just don't feel it should be in the heart of our town.
Right, I
Because
just-
we're a backwards town, we, you know.
Well, and that's what I say though, but like he's tried out there sort of to get away, it's just like he's tried, and he's not getting anywhere.
Well, it's not, but, you know,
Yeah, I know,
I
it's just-
have to say UDOT's probably giving you
Well,
a
and
big cloud
and
over
like I
your
say,
head,
it's a
too.
unique situation.
I don't
just
even want
saying-
to talk about that property
No,
being
that's
in
not today.
equation in the home occupancy. It has nothing to do with it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's totally
A different topic.
line, totally different line here.
It's unfortunate that we had the code written in, when was this town made?
10 years ago.
10 years ago. They had the code, they wrote it. We've seen it, but we didn't enforce it. And now, 10
Some
years
of us were here
later,
before that.
I understand that, but the town of Daniel became, we're just talking about, I can't go back that
No.
far. I've only been here 12 years.
No, I know.
And now, unfortunately, you got permission, but nobody followed the rules. Now some people want us to follow the rules. So, we're trying to develop a code that follows some of the rules, but not the old rules. So we really need to work together. We're all not gonna get our way. So can we get something written down that maybe we can enforce? Because now we can't enforce anything. So people could come in and maybe on the P160, whatever, they could come in and put some big warehouse or something up out there that none of us would want because we can't seem to get this basic code down.
And actually, older code's more restrictive, so.
They were much more restrictive and we didn't
So
even
we got the
enforce
complaint
them.
before this is done, then we go off the old code, which is more restrictive. I mean, once again, I don't think anybody here, especially me, thought we'd be here a year. I didn't, but I learned a very important lesson that probably ought to have things put together and then tweak it when it's 3/4 of the way together rather than start from scratch, because there's a lot of minds and a lot of ideas. Back to K, trying to move on. If we felt that no more than 3, then we scratch that out and we have no more than 3 pieces of equipment, insight, visually.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I think that's great. It'll keep your residential look, your agricultural look.
Council,
Feel.
do you have any comment on how that's worded, not
Well, I
worded?
think that from over on this side of the room, they wanted to identify what was large equipment.
I know, and we'll go in the circle here in a minute, I hope you're not.
Do another sentence.
That's how circles work.
Well, I'm trying to get here, and then we're gonna go back to here.
I just
It gives
throw
a
that
ton
out.
of examples,
Well, that's,
such as everything listed there.
I could come and define it right there after it said it.
I didn't hear that.
I think after it said large equipment, it defines it. It shows examples of what large equipment is.
That was the
So you have
meaning.
to body man drive.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've got that defined already.
Okay. So can we move on from K and use that as the, what we're
No
gonna?
more than 3 visible allowed.
Once you have some not visible, right?
That's okay.
You can have as
Yeah,
many as you
you
want.
can have
not
them.
As
business.
long as it's in a barn, I don't have to look at it. Should we include in the industrial equipment semi? I don't know, I'm asking. Is that considered an industrial equipment or is that
There's a line item down here below that addresses that.
And that's what we did on our suggestion, was included the semis in that and just got rid of the bottom one.
Yeah, I don't think we're done with K.
Where are, I guess I don't see it.
I think the visible, but I mean, if a guy has 10 pieces of equipment, 3 are visible, and all day they're coming in and out moving that equipment, that's an issue.
Well, that's
Did
the
did you do
point
that
of,
with employees coming and going from the property on another page, I believe?
there is, and there's keeping the zoning the same, I mean, that's where I believe those could come in to help control what we're talking about, but you're right, Eric, I mean,
If you have the owner of a business coming in loading 10 pieces of equipment a day, out carrying it out to his
Yeah.
crew, His employee's never been to his
And
house.
I think, and I'm
That's an
not
issue.
finding it, but that's on a previous page about employees coming and going.
I'm not talking about employee, I'm talking about the owner.
Yeah, the owner.
Oh, okay,
To
If
drop
I
one
have,
piece
if
off,
I
take
have
another
Mark
piece
coming
out.
home 10 pieces of equipment out in a day,
right.
the impact on that neighborhood is big.
So we
I see
want
what you're
cap
saying
total
there.
number
You could
too.
include it in number one though, vehicles, home occupations shall not alter the residential character, so if that should happen, that the
Vehicles
owner.
left running or coming and going.
Yeah, you know,
There
you're
go.
saying, wait a minute here, you're disturbing the peace or whatever, call it whatever you want, but
Yeah,
there is a
once
piece
again, as
there.
we're getting down these last few, as I read through this like literally 25 times and brought each little paragraph and how they didn't fit and how they did fit, I can find how something wouldn't fit on every single one of these. And, and someone's gonna do that, and they may not get a complaint until 2 years later, and then we may get a complaint because someone else bought a house next to them and then they complain.
But, you know, I hate this has taken over a year, but in a way, it has also shown me that your process works. I have seen people come in on complaints, and I've seen you have to hammer it out that it doesn't quite fit.
Every one of them does.
You make, and that's the way it's gonna be. And you make the decision, you decide as a council, and I've seen people make adjustments. And some, it's been really hard, you've had to really pound it to make it, but it works. The process is working.
It is.
So,
There's been a really tough, we've had more meetings and a lot of motion for this subject matter, just because it involves all of us somewhere or another, whether people aren't businesses and they don't see it the same, and other people that are businesses that like to see more. I think this particular document is getting pretty even-handed, so most people don't hate it or love it, but they can deal with it.
You're definitely giving us a due process.
Yes, we are. Okay, so we're back at K's before we leave K here.
Well, I see, when I go back to the one, home occupation shall not alter the residential character, I just think about the complaints we've had. Every one of those falls into that.
It does.
Every one of those, according to the complainant, has altered the residential setting. Every one of those firmly believe that they've altered the residential setting of their complaint. Their stuff's in my backyard, in my front yard.
Do we need to change the definition of residential?
no, that'd take another year.
Because,
I don't think we want to go there.
well, but
versus
hold on
somebody
a
else's
second.
version.
What I'm saying is, there are different definitions of residential, depending on where you've come from and what you are expecting when you get here.
Yeah, you're right, agricultural residential looks way different
Completely,
than a subdivision residential.
completely. So perhaps some of the people that are expecting,
But I think some of that earlier said that in comparison with other,
See, that's residential in Heber City. That's the new one going on 1200 South.
oh boy,
400?
That's a different residential.
Yeah.
right? And I'm just saying that is where,
Okay, let's do on K and there.
I think the fact that we still want to be rural is a good definition of our type of
a
residential.
rural residential bill.
Rural agricultural residential, and sometimes when they complain, they need to be asked. what
So
kind of
I would ask-
residential are you looking for?
This group here, how many pieces of equipment do you need?
It's not that your equipment come and go though 10 times a day. Equipment,
I don't see that ever happen.
not
Moving
somebody
10
who's
pieces
doing.
out a day,
But at the
Nobody will
same
do it if
time,
it's in the
I
code.
think we
one or
gotta,
two.
besides your own personal driveway, I hate to say it, but traffic, the county, we are the county's driveway. Our traffic, we have, whether we're business owners, whatever, them orange trucks are up and down that thing 50 times a day.
Yeah, you're
That
not gonna
traffic
do that
is-
many trips in a week.
That
County
traffic
does
is
it in one
invalid.
day.
Worrying about
Big Hollow.
Big
but
truck
dump
traffic
trucks go
is
up and down
invalid.
every day.
that we got too much from the county.
That's the county.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not on the shortcut, folks.
That's a problem too.
We're gonna put a new stop sign in.
We've been pushed very, very hard.
That'll slow
Those
down.
guys that are jamming 15 gears love stop signs, don't
Very
they?
hard to make sure that didn't happen because that would just ruin the town once it came through.
Well, it's a good point you make, because you know what? The county fits under K. There's no more than 3 pieces of equipment visible over there. They're all garaged.
You're kinda right.
But you've talked about it earlier,
fit.
the traffic. I mean, that's in here.
That being said, are you gonna allow me to build a garage?
But they
Big
don't
shop.
fit under the coming and going.
I think it's all fitting.
Yeah, they don't
in
fit under
that
this
category.
problem.
We're trying to double cover.
Oh,
Coming and going very often.
I'm just saying, anybody that's complaining about traffic, you gotta look at your county.
Well, and if you're running a business, you gotta get in and out, that's the deal.
And our
We all know we
traffic is
need
really
what we
not-
need in the back, we gotta go back and get it. First or second trip a day, you gotta go back
You
twice.
already addressed the coming and going, now you're addressing.
Of
how much
employees.
equipment you can have.
We've addressed that with employees. Comings and going, isn't that
But we
correct?
didn't with the owner.
Well, if you want to cap the number of equipment, let's come up with a number.
That's what I'm asking you, can we cap it? Is there a number?
And why can't we leave three and then add other
Three that are
pieces
visible,
being
I
not
mean, how big
seen?
of a building can they have?
They can cover 20%, I believe.
Of your property? Wow. That's a big building.
That's 5 acres.
On 5 acres.
I don't think you're gonna want that.
It's a 1 acre building.
And then that would be a big industrial complex, which then not pass planning.
Well, 20% is what they allow on RA5.
But I don't think that's a problem you guys have. I mean, to build a 1 acre building is,
It's not gonna happen.
It's not feasible.
Well, let's
I
look
wouldn't
at
say it's
McMansion,
not
though. I mean, there's one
gonna
person in,
You
on
never
the town
know.
that could build a 1 acre building without blinking an eye, and he did.
I know, but a 1 acre building is probably $2 million. I mean, there's not that type of money coming in.
If you got that kind of money, you're gonna be in an
It's coming.
industrial park.
It's here.
Millionaires will move the residents out.
Yeah, but they're not fitting into this
But they're
code.
not in this meeting right now to say, honestly, even a simple, I mean, just, I am pricing for a client, 100 by 150 building, and I mean, it's over $500,000, like, and that's not even close to an acre. Like, I just don't think that you have a problem with people building too big of barns right now in Gary. When that happens, then address that, but
I think it's here. We have folks that have purchased a piece of property for $500,000 and built a barn on it. It's here.
but it wasn't.
They're not gonna build a 1 acre barn, though,
Not store
Right now, you're
equipment in for
addressing
a
a
small
home business
home.
where the people
Yeah,
live.
not for a
I think
home.
you're digressing, we're off the
Very good.
subject here.
So as we drift around, we're still on K. Yeah, I'm gonna give it 5 more minutes. If we can't move from K, we're gonna,
I
I
think
don't
K's
know.
done.
K's
I
good.
think
how many
people are
can
happy.
agree with K, the way with the 3 and, these are, because.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Aye.
How can a council?
What? No, I'm not going for it. There's 2. It won't pass with 2.
And I'm trying to get it, because it's still gonna go back and to planning, but if you don't have the, you got 2 here that, look at K, and
So what's the issue with it, Eric?
I think that there does need to be a number on that. If you're bigger than so many pieces of equipment, you don't belong in a residential area, you need to go to commercial.
Well, let's hear your number.
Well, I agree.
I don't know, what is your number? That's why I'm asking, the people
Why
that are
won't,
here.
why
Well,
won't
everyone
you
here's-
estimate a number?
1 per acre.
I don't know what you need.
We just told you, 3.
3 that are.
Three
it's
that
three
are
visible.
3 that are visible.
But
That's what you've
How
told me.
many in the barn?
How many do you need?
3 visible,
5?
5 total?
so you're asking for a cap on both ends, but maybe,
Yeah, how
And
many
then
you got?
we can look at
3
3 here.
visible, 5
see
total.
how many can you have?
6 total. What? 7 total.
Go ahead and
What?
double it, make it 3
What
and
number?
6.
Yeah, without it being seen, it's very far, sure.
my vision of not being seen was not to get more equipment into a bigger building.
Right.
It was to try to keep 3 pieces of equipment that someone might use and utilize that. So it
Yeah.
wasn't for expanding it, it was for the other way
Right.
around.
Yeah.
But here we go.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, that's why we've been here a year.
Yeah.
But was there not, the business has to tell you how much they have.
It does,
You're at the
that's-
beginning.
Right, in their application process.
So you can say, too big, no.
But if planning can't look at a code and back it up, then they're arbitrary and capricious.
Well, then put a number.
Then we're in court.
Six.
That's what I'm
What number
asking
would you
for.
like
What's
to
the
see?
number?
6.
6.
6 pieces.
We're at 6. You
3
can have
visible, 6 total.
6. Like,
6.
3 in the
Six.
barn, 3 out front.
Sounds
There
good
you
to
go.
me.
This is motorized stuff too.
This is large equipment.
Okay.
And six is a lot to me.
5?
But the other 3 in the
Okay,
barn,
5.
they're not gonna get used like the other 3 are.
And they may not. you know, barn was kind of a secondary, from my point of view, a secondary to help somebody else put it away, not to get more.
Yeah.
Oh, when you say
So,
three
so
visible,
three's kind of the number that I personally,
when you say three visible, what did you envision someone having not visible?
well, everyone here has different numbers of equipment.
Absolutely.
Right.
So a number's gonna affect every one of them.
Well, I know last time we talked about 5, and some people thought it was too much, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're putting in 3 visible, why not 5? 5 total, no more than 5 total.
Well,
being
Yeah,
on.
two
I put 3 and then afterward put that in, but
I mean, if you feel like you gotta have a cap at the top,
Or maybe just make your cap 3. What's in the barn, you guys don't see, don't know?
just 3, period.
that's usually the
Horse
case.
in there.
I'd like that.
When somebody complains about it, you have a leg to stand on.
Are you happy with 5, Eric?
I'm asking you what you guys need to operate. You said the
Everybody's
folks
got
that
a different
need
number.
You got 5?
I mean,
I think.
In a residential
I'd be
area.
happy with that.
No, I don't-
Residential area,
Residential
more than enough
area.
for-
In a
Well, you'd be happy
residential
with
area, how
3.
many do you need?
3's good to me. It's 3 enough.
3 visible or total?
No, we're talking
Either
total.
What do
3
you got, Joe?
visible, more
What do
than
you got,
5
Joe?
total.
We're getting close here, we're getting
I,
close.
I like Jamie's thoughts there, 5 total, 3 visible.
No more than 5 total, no more than 3 visible.
That seems reasonable.
I like that.
Oh my heck, we agree.
So-
I think it's getting close now, I'm getting shocked here.
All right, I
Is that
like
coming close?
it. Yeah.
I'm reading it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so then we will, Lynn, if you put in for
No more than-
cut K then, no more than 3 visible, and no more than a total of 5 pieces. How many words that? So-
Motorized.
No more than 5,
No more
but
than
3
5
visible.
pieces of equipment.
It's already
Oh, yeah,
large.
yeah.
3 may be
With no
visible.
more- Yeah, 3 may be visible, oh, perfect.
No more than 5 for the business. Yeah, what I
No more
just
than
said.
3 visible at a time.
If you wouldn't mind reading that back once you get all that crap.
With no more than 3
what
visible.
Eric said,
Okay.
no more than 5 pieces total with 3 visible.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Clean
Does
cut.
that
Yeah,
give
we
you
got
5
some
trucks in the backyard?
No, it gives you 3.
No, 3 in the backyard.
3 in the backyard and 2 in the barn.
Is that 5 with a motor or 5?
That's exactly what
Big,
Exactly.
all that
Motorized.
equipment
3
was-
out of the time.
Ours is not really that far.
Track holes, mini track holes.
I like it.
Actually, the mini track
So we're on a roll. I'm trying to get, we're on a roll, we got to number K. Now, business regarding large facilities for warehousing and wholesaling and distributions are not allowed. I don't see, I like that word.
That's great.
Okay.
Perfect.
KLM, medical, dental, and insurance businesses are not allowed.
Perfect.
Perfect, good.
Okay, M's Kim. N, shipping, transport, and trucking businesses are not allowed. I did throw in, you know, except for the self, you know, the self-driver. You know, we've got a lot of guys that have trucks that need to be able to park it on the ground.
Okay, what about a father-son combo? I mean, you're not even gonna allow 2.
Well,
I think that's the legal path to ownership. He's gotta be partner.
I
He
am.
is.
And he's done. He owns part of it.
yeah, but you know, we got residents, then we got truck owner-operator. We don't have, and they have 2 owner-operators for their family, and so this is probably worth a discussion for sure.
And you know what?
Why is 2
Not theirs.
so outlandish? What's wrong with 2? Especially if one's away.
You know, he doesn't put a number on it though.
Yeah, I don't say it is outlandish, I'm just thinking of the, you know, I don't wanna nix the guy who's driving a semi, but I don't want 5 semis with all their employees coming and leaving. So, once again, we're the same.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yep. So,
Owner operator.
For more than owner-operators?
and then it still goes back though to, if you were to get plans, okay, so you got 2. And no complaints, yes, you're out of code, but you're not, I mean, I'm not trying to pass the buck and make these, but bottom line, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, if
The
somebody wants 2 or
self-operator
3.
scares me a little bit, because what if you don't own it? I mean, what if,
Like Tom
I'm
Ingles.
thinking Tom Ingles. Well,
I think there's a place for a guy like that.
Or me.
And I know this is the, yeah, Okay,
And I owned mine 30 years, but
I think it's more
The
than
last 3
appropriate
years
to
I
have a
didn't.
truck somewhere.
But you parked on your property and never an issue, no complaints, no nothing? and-
Forget you're even there.
No, but it just takes one neighbor to complain, and if it's in here, then your
Yes.
son.
But it's only your neighbor you have there by the business that's gonna complain.
right, but
We
it
have
still
one
needs
other
to
at
be
home
written that it's allowed.
that hasn't complained, but I think they would if they thought they had something to say on
As
this.
far as the rest, we're gonna probably get through this, we got down to N. Does anybody have any,
Or a personal truck,
For more than self-operator
or personal,
well, I guess self-operator, you don't own it,
well,
right? He's
we have
operating
moved
it
through
as
I, L, M, and now we're at N.
Would you,
Unless you guys have
would
no
you
problem
define
with
that
that.
as that, a self-operator?
I did, I
You drive it.
but that's okay, what
No,
now?
it may be
We're at N.
And let's go through it.
Reread it.
Living at the home.
I have another comment about this.
Pardon me?
He doesn't live there.
For somebody like Tom, and like yourself, you're not in this code. You're
Oh,
trying to run
right.
a fishing business.
We were contracted to somebody else. Tom's just
So
driving.
this code does not apply to you.
That's right.
Yes, but I will quote a council member who said trucks are offensive. Okay, so if he finds your truck offensive,
I'm pretty offensive.
He does hear you.
I mean, I just have a hard time with a person being able to say, well, that truck's offensive. I mean,
So
That was
let's
a
see.
comment by a person though, as you know.
yes, I do. And the fact that he's a neighbor makes me a little nervous. Because he's also sat here and said, oh, they're sold to or people, they're great respected businessmen, they do a good job, but then he puts in no trucks. So, yeah, I'm a little scared.
Okay, so we're past the no trucks, now we're at least a truck, and now we're talking about possibly two trucks.
Well,
Mark,
we
I know you got
license
something
for
to say.
3, so that really bothers me that 2 seems to be out of the
if
question.
you have a big enough place to park your truck,
But that doesn't say this.
So what does it need
So
to say?
are you worried that you can't use your home and your business now?
No.
I think we have.
Speak, Mark, 'cause I know you got something to say.
What we're trying to say is, a person like Jock here, or Tom Ingles, you don't have anything written in any of your code that says it's okay for him to bring that work truck home, even though it's a semi. Or because it's a semi.
So hold on, so with that being said, where it says owner operator, is that all that we need to change to?
No, because Tom Ingles doesn't own it.
or operator,
Or operate, that's what I was trying to get at.
Or
Or instead of.
or.
No, I mean operators plurally, but operator, that, once again, the spirit is what we're trying to get here, not,
Your
so.
the truck's operator can take it home.
Can be parked on the property of the residence, but not out in the street, not in the road.
I'm good with self-operator because that doesn't mean he owns it. It's self-operated.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful about allowing that. If the smoke's going in the neighbor's window, it's offensive in the morning.
Correct.
And now,
And we've had that problem.
and we have, and I think that's addressed earlier in this particular code.
We had that problem on our old house.
Yeah.
And a lady came and said, your smoke's going in my window in the morning. We moved the truck.
That's
She
not
was
what happened
just
in the
fine.
last
So
instance.
Because, I mean, so much of this can be solved by a neighbor going over and say, because they don't even know half the time.
That's true.
I know last time you said you can't have a complaint. He's like, I did?
That happens a
I
lot.
mean, what happens to,
still
hey,
bothering me.
neighbor? I know. If Adam had a problem with something I was doing, I would know it. And I would respect
That
it.
doesn't happen anymore in this world.
There's beginning.
People just call
Tell me
police
later.
department. That's happened to me. But going back to the operator doesn't fall under this code at all. They're not running a business,
No, they're not.
they're contracted out, or they're
Employee.
other employees.
So they
can
still carry on
Do what?
normal.
Correct.
This is
This
just
this
to get a
code
business
doesn't even
license.
address that. We shouldn't even be discussing an operator, because we're talking about business owners.
Gotcha.
That's
right.
So it
Okay.
doesn't matter whether
He's
they park
right
the
there,
truck there
but-
on their property or not.
Did you
That's
get a
also
fish what
been
you
an
wanted to
issue
say?
that is,
Okay, so will you
No.
read how you worded that again and let's just, maybe we're happy.
Let's start over.
Oh,
I'll read number 9, letter 9.
Would you keep the gate?
Shipping, transport, and trucking business are not allowed except for the self-operator, or we could certainly change that, owner-operator is what
No,
comes.
that's good today. Self-operated, I got it. I got it.
What about self-operator?
One truck. You know, the whole gist of it, that's it. It's not all, whether
Yeah, drive the truck home, drive it back, and that was my
That's
mind.
the only way they're gonna go, residential agricultural.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but that's not what this is for, again, this is for the owner.
The whole town.
Well, that's why I put self-operator,
No way, I think you have enough.
Yeah, I would have to go back to what Joe said about the owner.
Okay, owner operator, same for your
Then we got a problem.
But have to be owner operator.
That was how I ended up being self-operator anyway.
True story.
So, assuming that that is the case, if we just did that, then how many was three alone? As a,
What does that whole industry road say? What does that thing you just rewrote? Your thing is now said.
So what it says, shipping, transport, and trucking businesses are not allowed except for owner-operator. As it says at the moment.
Except for the owner operator, okay.
Except for owner
It's
operator.
the person who owns it, yeah, but employees moving the business, so yeah.
That's what it reads right now?
That's how it's stated right now, yes.
Are we okay with that?
I think we're gonna have to be, I don't think we're gonna get any more.
so I'm reading that as in, what if I own 3 trucks, but I'm just the owner operator, I own all 3? So I can park 3 in my house and drive 1 out every day?
Well, they're not coming and going.
Well, that's what I'm
Hold on,
saying.
hold on. Large occurrence such as backhoes, track hoes, marine track hoes, skid steers, and this. Now, it didn't say every single solitary large industrial equipment, it was specifically said those,
Right, so now I'm thinking truck.
okay?
3 trucks parked, is that offensive?
So if it's
Why
on
don't you
N,
include the
Depends on if
tractor
they say
trailers?
Freightliner on the front.
Instead of thinking about the self-operator, why don't you just include tractor trailers in that?
which one into which?
In the, you have different numbering than I do, mine is 5, K, is it K?
Yeah, okay, you wanna put,
Why don't you just include tractor trailers in that? And just have it all inclusive.
Visible, 5 go.
I like it, put tractor trailers in.
They come and go a day that way, because you got one driver.
well, I'm not sure, you got 2.
Okay.
And shortly probably to be 3. He's not gonna
They
make
don't
it.
have anything to do with
He's
it.
not gonna make it, huh?
They have 0 interest.
No, he does. Everybody has 0 interest, but they want the money.
Okay, so we're almost there.
Yeah, so much money is.
All right.
Okay, we almost got it. Come on.
So,
Can you add 10?
So Pam, we're looking at including that,
In
moving
K.
that over to K.
Does that satisfy you, Eric?
Does that
Satisfies
satisfy
me.
you guys?
Yeah.
Eric speaks to
It's a piece of equipment.
But Eric brought up a concern, I wanna know if it.
I don't want somebody to park 3 semis and all of a sudden Pam doesn't thinks that's offensive, that there's 3 semis in the
If
lot.
it says 3 semis, then I'm gonna have to get over it, aren't I?
Sounds good to me.
Well, that's easier said than done.
Soften it up.
It says it right here, it's in black and white, I will get over it.
That's why we're writing it right
Well,
now.
that's
You're
why we're
okay
doing
with that?
this.
That's why we're doing this, trying to hit everybody. We're not gonna make
It's
it.
a protection for the resident and it's a protection for the small business owner.
so we're on N, right?
Yeah.
And so how's N ending up right now?
Except for.
Exactly how you read it last.
Yeah, didn't change.
Okay, so shipping, transport, and trucking businesses are not allowed except for owner-operator.
Correct.
And then you included tractor trailer and K to limit.
To give you your limit of how many are parked there.
Yeah, because it depends which day of the week you're driving that.
Okay, so you're adding back to K.
Well, no, I'm sitting there looking to see if we're going to add back to K. I
Right.
know that's what's been suggested at the
Okay.
moment.
Is
You
the
know, 5
tractor
Does that help you
separate
cap the
piece from
number?
the trailer when you're talking 3?
Well, and that's a good question there too.
No, I don't
And
believe so.
truck and trailer is in my mind, but then if you had, wants to have 15 trailers and 3 tractors. I mean, that would be an abuse right there.
Well,
That would be a complaint.
The tractor trailer together can be one.
In my mind, that's how I was looking at all that.
Yeah.
You can't park a whole bunch of trailers there and say, well,
Not
I'm
50,
gonna have
not
three
50
tractors.
trailers there.
Someone's gonna try.
They got a list of the tractor trailer.
Tractor trailer, it's a unit.
Is one.
Yeah.
Oh, you
That's a unit.
So does that need to be said in one of those lines attached?
Attached.
You've dealt with this more than anybody, Eric.
Yeah, on your behalf.
So, do we need to put attached to make that part of actually what we're meaning?
Attached tractor trailers?
Well, no, the trailer attached to the tractor, meaning,
Tractor trailer combination.
there you go, okay, that's.
Combination, there you go.
How do you interact with that?
Well, that's the exact tractor
You're the
trailer
brains over there.
combination. If we're gonna add that in,
Because that gives you your number.
that gives you a number of 3, but I don't know.
So, 1 truck, 3 trailers, 1 truck, 2 trailers.
Tractor trailer.
Combination unit, if you're counting each one as a separate unit,
No, tractor trailer combination.
right, as one.
As one.
What are you counting the trailer that you pull in and unhook?
It's part of that unit.
It's part of that
It
unit.
counts what?
It can't exceed the number of tractors in a
Yeah.
tractor trailer
3?
combination.
So 2 parked trailers and a tractor semi and a trailer hooked up, is your
If
3.
you have 3 trailers and 4 trucks, that's 4 units, even though one's missing the trailer.
Is that what you're hearing?
It's in a house.
Exactly, yeah, that's how I read that.
There are no house.
3 combination vehicles, I think is what you're trying to say, right?
Truck and trailer.
Truck and trailer,
You're
correct.
saying there are no trailers separate from a tractor?
There can be, but that's,
That counts as a
that
unit.
falls
That's a
under.
unit.
What's that?
Unit A and B.
If I have no trucks, but I have 3 trailers out there, that's my 3 visible units.
Exactly.
There you go.
Right.
I would just say there's no house. It's whether a truck's parked in front of it, whether it's alone, it's
Yeah.
all.
They're looking together.
But, okay, so, you know,
So if you
3 is one thing, and we're gonna, so are you suggesting we have 5, up to 5 semis now? If we had
No,
to-
You can change that
Okay,
here.
I'm not going that direction myself.
You can change that up here.
Let's not go down that.
Up on the table.
Because we were just
He was
throwing that in,
worried
okay?
that
Right,
you
I know, that was a
have 10
suggestion.
trucks for one guy.
Right.
So I'm saying if you include tractor trailers up here, it's gonna count as 2. Put a number, a cap.
yeah, that's good.
A 5?
Well,
Well,
3
if you wanna change it,
visible, 5
change it.
total,
Gotta give you your room and bed.
if you can put 2 away.
But if they got backhoes and
Yeah.
skid steers and everything in a truck trailer, then that adds up to the end of that 1205.
Or, if you're not okay with 5 total, we
Do
can
3.
break it
Well,
out in another section and
and that-
only 3.
Now they brought that up, I mean, that's another solution. So you've got your tractor, a trailer, and a dump truck,
Okay, that's
you're in
units.
3 units.
So that's why I said combine them here, because you do not want to have, okay, I got the truck, I've got the, what would it be, what business might have the trucks, the backhoe, and they're all separate.
But you're talking as if you're at your house versus you have your place to do all that stuff with. We're trying to keep this in a
Right.
residential,
No,
not.
this is at a house.
This is
No,
all
this
in
is
the
all
house.
in the
No, I know, but she's still, I think, they have their stuff in their house, they also have a commercial business, and we don't wanna expand the home, I guess what I say we don't, that's the wrong words. You guys could then have X amount of trucks at your shop, and then maximize and try to have this at your home, and once again, we're trying to make this to where it's reasonable for home, but not have people.
Okay, what Eric was worried about was you put owner operator, and he doesn't want 10 trucks for that owner operator.
Right?
So I said, put tractor trailers up in this part, and you have now just capped what someone could have.
But we're talking about 5
Even though
instead
you
of
said
3.
it's an owner
So if we had
operator.
3 truck and trailers,
Yeah, so,
Yeah, we should ask.
so you're reading that as your tractor's one? As in your farm tractor, backhoe?
No, a truck.
Right.
Change it, that's really
But if you
equipment,
include
such
it in
as
that
backhoe,
equipment, that's
tractors.
included in that 5.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So your forklift's one of the,
Yeah.
Yes.
or you have the other end of that spectrum where a guy has,
If I have a
5
business
trucks.
forklift, it's an item there. If I have a
Right.
business backhoe, it's an item there.
so, and so on the flip of that is 5 trucks,
Yeah, 3 of them can be visible. 2 of them.
so 3 trucks.
3 trucks visible.
We're only gonna have the 3
Away,
visible.
But now he can't have any other equipment there.
You can't have any other equipment if you have 5 semis.
Your semis are counted right in there with your heavy equipment?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a way to limit it when you were worried about the
We're
self-operated.
not trying to sneak anything extra in?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
I'm trying to write a code that works for you guys.
Works for all. So I think we almost came to a decision on that too then, right?
Okay, so we're adding that into K.
What are we adding, okay?
Truck and trailers.
We're gonna add
Truck and trailer.
as one.
Tractor
It's
trailer
one
combination, one unit, combination, right?
Yeah,
Tractor trailer combination.
tractor trailer combo.
So if you decided to have 3 tractor trailers, then you could have 2 other pieces of equipment for your total of
If they
5.
were
Is that
correct.
correct?
And 3
If
can
they're
only be
hidden.
visual.
If they're
2 have
hidden.
to be hidden.
Correct, so you could have 3 tractor trailers sitting out in front of the house, and then you could put a backhoe and a skid steer in your
I'm just
barn.
trying to
Not parked on the
process it
road.
all, 'cause I thought it was
Parked on the road.
Correct?
Yeah,
I
but-
know,
Just so, I mean, I don't wanna live by 3 tractor trailers, no offense, but
but,
that's okay, I'm
but
okay.
we could, right behind us, you know, so
Well, we have to come to a
I
consensus, I'm
agree, I
willing to
think that,
flex.
yes, they cap it at 3. And include the semi-trailers in there, but cap it at 3.
So at this point, we've moved the truck and tractor and trailer into number K, or item K.
Okay.
3 total visual.
They're talking.
You want to
three
have
total.
truck and trailers at 3?
I think tractor trailers should be 3, no more than 3.
Okay, then take it out of K and put in N with no more than 3?
Sure.
Yep, then it's out of
And then
K.
you're not muddying it
Adding
up?
it up, I'm good with that.
Yes.
I just think
Okay,
5
we got
tractor
3 or 4
trailers,
goods
even
up
if 2 are
there.
hidden, is a lot
Cap of
Another
three.
one,
in a
so
residential.
we're gonna take it back out of K and put it into N.
Yep.
Yeah, it has to go back in that, except owner operator with a cap of 3.
Okay. Mark? Wendy, did you use last one?
Okay, so we went back, took it out of K, we put it back in N. Shipping, transport, and trucking businesses are not allowed except owner operator with a cap of 3.
There you go, all right.
Tractor trailer.
Tractor trailer combo.
Combination.
Yeah.
3 tractor trailer combination.
Okay.
With a cap of 3 tractor trailer combo.
Hidden.
They're doing trucking
I'm
talk
gonna put them in
now.
your barn.
Please, no.
Okay, I think that takes care of number,
The
item
horses
10.
will love it.
Yes. Is that right? Is that right? So you could still have 5 things plus your 3 trucks?
I took it differently than that when she just
That's
said
why
that.
I put it in
No.
there, but, oh,
Hold on.
no.
Can I talk for a minute? Look like
3, cap it.
people listening.
Let's just put it in that the semis are included
In the.
in the total of 5 pieces of equipment on your property.
Okay,
There you
that'll
go.
work if you had that in within. I just thought we could put it in K.
Well, see, now it's starting to look like
Now,
law.
word that again.
This
I like it,
back
I
to
just
this
need you
one
to
and
word
over
it.
to that one.
The 3 tractor trailers are
Now we're
included
starting to
in
get
your
somewhere.
total of 5 pieces of equipment.
Been doing this for years.
We're getting there.
I haven't been here, but.
Is that okay?
I think that helps protect both.
Helps protect, so that we don't have 8 pieces of
Yes,
equipment.
because I can see that. That's why I said put it in K, but I like the way you did it.
Eric just wrote down the last phrase, so let's hear it, I think you got it.
Tractor trailer combo and included in item K.
Okay, say that one more time.
So we got the cap of 3, tractor trailer combination, and included in K.
And included in K, okay.
And will be included in the 5 total.
Yeah, that's what K refers to, back to that.
Good job.
I think that works.
So just in case, K and N.
Except where,
Because Eric does have an L or an M issue though.
I think we might get out.
I do.
So we're going back to either L or M.
M, medical, dental, and insurance. Why are they not allowed? Those are not high density.
Ask John Blotter.
You put it
He's the
in
one who
there.
put it in.
Because you have a lot of people coming and
ever see
going,
that
not
coming
allowed.
Medical, dental, and insurance business.
Insurance person for sure, actually, because there's gonna be an insurance agent that works out of his home and does his life and health or whatever. I
Sells
can see
life
striking that. I don't see I got a dental office happening in the guy's
I don't
house.
see that either.
We've had dental in houses in Heber.
So back up,
They've worked out really good to have a little.
No.
business now.
back up for a minute.
No.
On the insurance businesses, there's a lot of insurance agents, especially in this valley, that work out of their homes, and they go see clients at their homes. So they don't actually have people coming to their houses. Huh?
So that'd be fine, yeah.
So to strike the,
Doesn't that kind of fall into the home
insurance.
office?
Yeah.
You do that,
That's
you gotta include barber shops and beauty shops too. Yeah. Because you got people coming there to get their.
And that's addressed in the first code though.
Yeah, I
that is
think all that should
Yeah,
be,
that
would
is
be
in the
addressed in the first
These
code.
guys don't even fit in
But
this.
the insurance salesmen are about like somebody, the
So you're wanting
contractor
to strike that, Eric?
that
The whole
has
thing?
his truck and
I
trailer.
don't see that that's a huge
Every place
impact.
else.
I don't see that they
I
even
don't
fit
either.
in
this section of the code. I think they were in the first section you wrote,
In the,
like with the hair salons.
And how many people that
Medical,
you have
dental.
coming and going?
I guess, you could call,
That's
someone
not
did
in the
eyelashes or something medical, I mean, I don't know.
well, we have a,
What do we call them?
we have a massage that is, has a medical entail.
Let's just scratch them then.
Let's scratch it.
Just leave it out.
Those all fit in your home occupation office.
Not this commercial one. Okay, so we hit L and we didn't have an extra L, we did just complete M,
Right.
and we just completed N before we completed M.
Well, I think businesses requiring large facilities, I think that's already in the individual zone. If it's over so far, if it's over so many square feet, it's a conditional use already. And so I don't see that that's an issue here because they're gonna fall under your zoning for conditional use. So large facilities shouldn't even be an issue in this
As
based
in
on.
strike it to take it out, or just, it's just not gonna be an issue, just leave it there, but.
Yeah, but I think it's covered in the other code.
Scratch it?
No, I think we can leave it, but it is covered in the other code. That has a number,
Oh,
the defendable number of square footage.
so you're leaving
It's
it.
kind of a backup.
Yeah, as far as make you aware of.
I really hate that, because I don't want to discuss it or anything, but I just was confused with whether you scratched the first one or not. The number of visitors for the small business must be that of a single household. I have one paper that has it scratched and one that has.
That's definitely.
I know. and mine
So
is-
which one's that?
Take it up there, show.
She just wants to know if it's there or not.
That very first one.
What was your number? I have all the versions here.
Yeah.
This is the version I got.
Yeah, that's that's actually against the law now, so that one is definitely scratched.
Okay, I had one where it was, one where it wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get, when you present this to the
Oh,
planning, can we get a
no.
copy?
That'd be plenty of copies.
Somebody's notes before the night's over,
What's that?
if would be all possible, whatever is.
Do you need a pen?
It's gonna take Lynn a few days just to compile it all, but she'll have minutes.
it to you tomorrow.
Will you email it?
Tomorrow. We'll still be here
We
tomorrow.
don't care.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Well, we are making more headway tonight than I've seen.
We are on O to this last one.
Okay.
Hey, what is O?
O is short-term rentals, motels, bed and breakfast, and reception centers are not allowed.
Isn't that in now?
Yes.
Okay, so short-term rentals, I think we're brushing up against the legislation that went through this year regarding short-term rentals. And I think that needs to be investigated before we even go on with that.
Okay, I'll ask her. My interpretation, I know yours interpretation is a little bit different, and I will get clarification on it.
Okay. While you're getting clarification, will you get clarification on home occupation?
Yes.
Thank you.
And what specifically about that would?
As in the last legislative session
Right.
and their restrictions. We have at least 5 cities that have now handed back all the business licenses and says, good luck to you residents. We no longer issue home occupation licenses.
Home occupation, how'd you word that for the home occupation?
So why are we doing all this if we no longer issue home occupation?
Some cities have done that. That's just what I'm saying. At least 5 cities have done that. Because it's so, with the legislature coming in and saying you won't regulate this one, this one, this one, or this one, we fall into the same thing we just did on the home therapeutic school. What is reasonable? Who is this board to say what is reasonable? State says this is reasonable, we say this is reasonable. All it is a court case. And so if you're just gonna stand there and take a bullet in the head, they're going, have at it. So if the legislature wants to do that and they trump us, then that's what they've been doing. If they get enough people there to get something passed, and there's already talk of reworking that because of what it's done, but as of right now, as long as we're getting clarification on legal. It could not be, yeah, it very well could be. Don't think I don't do that a lot. Sometimes it's just not rebel.
What I have is home occupation the questions to clarify would be home occupation licensing and what ability we have and don't have for that. And then the other one would be short-term rentals, how we, is it in our control or their
Right,
control?
limitations.
Does anybody know anything about that at all? Any tidbits or information?
Well,
You know, Rick?
I've read it, I interpret it different than what Mr. Blotter interprets it, and I told him if you want 5 different opinions, get 5 different attorneys.
Right.
I read the letter that John wrote. I kind of saw the way John saw it as far as the gal who wrote that letter, and so that's why we're asking for clarification. Eric sees it a little bit different than that, so.
I missed those opportunities to hear what those were, so if you could briefly tell me what that means, because I don't understand.
My understanding is, Eric pays attention to the state and state code and legislature, and each year they work on stuff and it almost passes or it doesn't pass. He's under the impression that we may not have the ability to control night-year rentals. I'm under the impression we certainly can control night-year rentals, but you can't prosecute or charge somebody by advertising night-year rentals and things, because the town may or may not have the ability to implement night-year rentals. So if we don't want them, we can implement them, but there's some gray area that we.
Gotcha. So there is some talk that the state legislature is saying that we can't do that, or we can't limit that in a town.
They're trying to throw their hands up and not deal with that issue and leave it, maybe,
They're perfectly fine with us taking a bullet in the forehead.
Yes.
It doesn't bother them at all.
Right.
Okay, that takes, is there anything else?
No,
on
bed
the
and breakfast is different because you have, now you're suddenly got, well, you have the public coming into a facility, so now you have fire, health, all the other things that come into play with that. But a short-term rental is, that's right. No more impact than a residential setting is what they're saying, so therefore it can't be regulated.
I'm gonna ask in the whole O, that whole line.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna go over.
Okay.
So I have to say, I think we did an awesome job tonight. We're down to the very last item. We're done with the last item. We're gonna get clarification for the last item. And I'd like to move on to another subject matter.
Yay!
Any other comments
Before you
we
go,
move on?
Mayor, can
Yes?
I make a comment real quick?
Absolutely.
I think it's wonderful that these people have showed up and
Yep.
showed such an interest in trying to get what they would like to see. But the way legislation works, this is all gonna take place, but it could very well be that a year and a half from now, we have double the number of residents that don't quite agree with what's going on here tonight, and so we will write new code once again. And it will be a happy medium to what's been going on here, most likely. But that's how it works, folks, just so you know.
Nature
How it
of
works.
it.
But congratulations, you had a united effort here. I think it's came down to where it's been a compromise. But you will have feedback from this. It might take a year and a half to 2 years, but you will have feedback.
And then we'll have another year.
Usually the way we find that is
Well, the more
lives in the
feedback,
election.
the less responsible you are. The more responsible
The
you
chair
are,
would
the
then
less
have to get a
feedback.
motion with this being,
Sometimes.
pass it back down to.
Depending upon.
You want to get the clarification prior
Every day,
to.
or not ready for the
Thank you.
paper.
Motion to continue.
Got a motion to continue until I get the clarification on the last item. Wait a second.
You need, you need a motion just to pass it on once you get the clarification.
We'll bring it up next month and just continue it.
I'll second the motion.
So we have a motion and a second to continue item O. And I'll get clarification on that. Any other discussion?
Go for it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We will continue item O, and at this time, I believe we're actually done with chapter 8.25. Once again, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
This is an awesome turnout.
We're on to number 11, Recorder's Office warrant approvals, announcements, quarterly budget update. Turn the time over to Lynn, and please, time over to Lynn.
Okay, you've got your list of warrants there for the bills presented in September. To Daniel Brown, beginning, reimburse phone expenses to myself. The league's bond payment, annual bond payment of $546. It's the same, it's been the same for a number of years. Daniel Irrigation, assessment for the shares and a small fee that they charge.
For